happy to catch up with Laura Catena today using the Zoom format. I don't know, it's not as much fun as tasting with you, Laura, face to face, but it will do for today. I really wanted to talk to you because of the news that's come out about the world's most admired wine brands. Catena finished first out of 50, and you weren't even on the list before this. It's a fantastic achievement. I don't know why you weren't on the list. Let's talk about that as well. But what did you think when you heard the news?
Well, I have to say that first we were told that we were among the 50, which was already news to celebrate. And then a couple weeks later, they told us we were actually the number one. And in fact, they were kind of wondering how we made it to number one. And this is a survey of experts in 48 countries. So it's a very broad survey. And it's actually managed by Wine Intelligence, which is a data company. So it's very well run. And who those experts are, I have no idea. But the fact that somebody actually must have entered our name for us to be one of the candidates, and then that we came in number one, is extraordinary and very unexpected, because some of the brands there are, you know, Penfolds, Margaux, like winners, Torres from other years.
Flores, Conchitoro, so many companies.
Yes, yes. And I agree with you that it is a little bit of an eclectic list, because it is wines that people buy.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I think dovetails with is during COVID-19, we've already seen, or I've been reading about how people are actually returning to brands that they haven't consumed in a decade or two. So maybe the whole thing about natural wines and all these crazy, you know, one-off wines that are being made around the world are losing a bit of their, you know, their favor with consumers. They're going back to that sort of comfort of buying, you know, Conchitoro or Catena or Antinori, or a lot of them are family brands. I think that's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I think the wine world is interesting because, you know, are there really big brands out there? I mean, when I talk to Piero Antinori, you know, he has the same problems that I do. You know, it's like, okay, my daughter's here and I can't get a hold of her. And, you know, the same problems my dad has. And, you know, we're family wineries, and some of us sell more wine than others, but I don't know of any of these, you know, well-known wine brands that run like a corporation. I mean, in our winery, you know, somebody wants to figure out something to change on a label and they call me. You know, we're still, you know, running like from the house, you know, like my great grandfather who came from Italy and my grandfather. And so, you know, although these brands that were nominated are fairly ubiquitous in the world, I wouldn't think of any of us as sort of big brands in the way big brands exist in clothing or in other things. Yeah.
Well, I think that people just, maybe they think about the word brand and they have some notion, but really you're right on the mark. If you think about Erasmus, or you think about Penfolds, you think about Peter Gago, these are individual people who travel half the year and make wine the other half of the year, and they're involved in small vineyards and small lots and clones and you name it. So I think I love this list, and I think you know, one of the things, I don't know who the experts are. I don't get to vote. I've been in 44 out of these 50 wineries in my lifetime.
So that's amazing.
I think I know a bit about brands and who's doing the right kind of work. I also have this feeling that Argentina and a little bit like Chile have been, I always say they're wines that were kept below the table by a lot of people instead of on the table. And maybe this is the final stroke that you've hit the bell and said, okay, wake up, folks, like we're here and we're making great wine. So I want to congratulate you on that.
Well, thank you so much, Tony. But, you know, I'm sort of remembering with this award the early days for me, because as you know, I studied to be a doctor and I worked as an emergency physician for 25 years. And now I was actually just transitioning to volunteer work at a local clinic when the COVID happened. So my clinic has been closed. But, you know, I work as a physician for a long time. And why did I go work with my father at the family winery? Because he had this dream to make Argentine wines that could stand with the best of the world. This started in the 80s when nobody knew Argentine wine, when nobody knew what Malbec was. And my father really put Malbec on the world map with Catena Malbec, which we can still drink today. And, he sent me to this New York wine experience, wine spectator thing to New York. And I was a doctor. I knew quite a bit about wine because I'd grown up with wine and I'd gone to France with my dad many times. But I got there and we had this little booth. Nobody was tasting our wine. They were all making lines with the Italian, the French, the California wines. And when they would see Mendoza, Argentina, and I was pretty cute back then, this is 25 years ago. And, and they wouldn't stop to taste my wine. And so I called my father the next day and I said, Dad, I need to come work with you because this dream of yours to make Argentine wines that can compete, bottle to bottle, blind tasting with the other great wines of the world is never going to happen. And, 20 years later, 25 years later, we get this award of the #1 most admired wine brand in the world. And it's extraordinary, but I think it's really, a testament to us sticking to this vision that the quality has to be there. We're not going to win by just doing a pretty label. That, we need to make a great wine. To make a great wine, you need to do research. We planted vineyards in these high altitudes where nobody had planted before. We studied Malbec. We did all these things. And, I don't know if we deserve this award, but we got it.
Oh no, you deserve the award. I think, as you said, when you went back to work with your father, one of the things you took was science back to,
That's
I think,
true.
to the company. And so this long journey with Malbec, this whole discovery of clones, the single vineyard, the Adriana, the way that
Yes.
you developed all that, I think, you've changed the way people think about wine. And, we could talk about the technicalities forever, but really you've just improved the wine by doing these things and refined it in a very slow way. So I love that. There's so many great stories. White bones and white stones. I remember you
Yeah.
calling me saying, should we name the wine this? And I thought, are you kidding? They're the best names I've ever heard in my life. And
Yeah.
but you had resistance even at the winery to
Yeah.
do that at the
White
time.
bones, you had the final word, Tony, because somebody said white bones, it sounds like dead bodies. And you
Yeah,
said, no, 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 go with that name. Seriously, Tony, you
yeah.
had an influence on that name. Yeah.
Well, I love that wine. I love those sites that you've been championing. So what's next at Catena if you're #1? You
Well,
can't
I
quit.
mean, I do have to say that one extraordinary thing about this list is that all those brands and the wineries behind them are very environmentally conscious. They're all working on sustainability at a very high level. We actually brought a sustainability code to Argentina that we started using ourselves. And then we said, what's the use of us farming sustainably if nobody else has a code to follow? And now, dozens of wineries are following the sustainability code that we brought to Argentina and that was certified by Bodegas de Argentina, an organization. So to me, what's great about this award and other wineries in this group is that they're all wineries trying to make great wines, but also focusing on the people, on studying the terroir, of making great wines, of telling stories. And, it is such an honor to be in this company. Maybe this year we're #1, maybe another year we're not #1, but, it's a privilege to be in this world of wine families.
Yeah, I think #1 it'll break down barriers. Listen, so everybody's stuck in their homes.
Yeah.
They want to buy wine, they want to order wine. If they look at Catena and say, "Wow, these guys are #1, what should I try?" So, what's a simple introduction to your wines? What can people go out and buy in Canada, perhaps, that
Yeah.
you would recommend?
So, our family makes Catena Malbec, which is sort of like our Chanel #5. It's the wine that it's often the first, high-end Malbec that people drink.
Yeah.
And so there's Catena Malbec, Catena Alta Malbec. There's the Catena Zapatas, which are a lot more expensive, but all the liquor boards in Canada bring them in. But there's also Alamos Malbec. It's a wine that we make some of our grapes, some of our growers that we work with very closely. and it's more affordable, and it's widely available, and it's delicious. No wine that comes out of our winery is a wine that I wouldn't drink. I drink all our wines at all the price points.
Yeah, well, I would too if I was there. I wish I could be there. Laura, so much fun to catch up with you and just have a quick chat about this amazing achievement from the world's most admired wine brands, finishing #1 ahead of Penfolds, Torres, and Piero. You'll have to call Piero and say hello. I'm sure he'll be happy to hear from you.
He's a very gracious person. I'm sure
Yeah.
he would just give congratulations, and yeah.
I would, if you could pass on my hello to your father and your mother. I met them many years ago in Alberta. They were such great ambassadors of the wine. Yeah, there they are. Yeah,
That's me. No,
fantastic.
that's me and my dad.
Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, look at that, how young
but
you are.
I look a lot like my mom. Actually, people often
Yeah.
get confused. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, say hello to them for us, and keep working hard. I hope when this passes, we can get together and taste some wine face to face. The best way
I'll
to
be
do
there.
it. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Laura
Tony.
Catena.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.